You recently posted some tributes to Diane Keaton. Do you have a favorite memory with her?
Oh, there's so many, so many. I met her on The Godfather, and I think in that post I showed some pictures that I took of her in Sicily.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I had them in an old album there. And my wife said, "Look at these images that you took of Diane." And she's a unicorn, She's a unique spirit. It's undefinable, She was an American original, and I got a chance also to work opposite her many times, and so that was a great blessing.
She was the voice behind one of the most iconic, inescapable songs of the 2000s, a vibrant, fierce artist who shattered norms and defined a decade with her unique sound. Then, almost overnight, she seemed to vanish from the global stage. But Kelis didn't just step away from the spotlight. She was pushed, betrayed, and broken by the very industry that built her. This isn't a story about a faded star. It's a story of survival, a harrowing journey through public battles, private heartbreak, and a shocking escape to a place no one saw coming. What really happened to Kelis is far more complex and disturbing than you could ever imagine. Before Milkshake became a worldwide phenomenon, Kelis was already a force to be reckoned with. She crashed onto the scene in the late 90s, a whirlwind of color and sound, unlike anything else in music. Her debut album, Kaleidoscope, was a critical darling, a bold statement produced by two young visionaries who called themselves the Neptunes. Alongside Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo, she was part of a creative family, a trio set to take over the world. Her music was raw, her style was fearless, and her future seemed limitless. But even then, in the glow of her rising star, the seeds of a devastating betrayal were being planted by the very people she trusted most. A betrayal that would strip her of her earnings and her legacy for decades. On the surface, her life looked like a fairy tale. In 2005, she married the legendary rap icon Nas, cementing their status as a hip-hop power couple. They were magnetic, gracing red carpets and magazine covers, the embodiment of talent and success. The public saw a perfect union, a collaboration of two brilliant artists. But behind the closed doors of their lavish life, the dream was curdling into a nightmare. The passion that had brought them together was twisting into something volatile and toxic. While the world saw glamour, Kelis was allegedly living in fear, enduring a cycle of intense highs and terrifying lows that she would later describe as a whirlwind of mental and physical turmoil. The facade finally shattered in 2009, while 7 months pregnant with their first child. Kelis filed for divorce, a move that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. The public soon learned the grim reality she had been hiding. In a series of explosive interviews, she detailed a tumultuous marriage marred by allegations of infidelity and excessive drinking. But the most disturbing claims were of physical confrontations, a dark secret she had kept locked away. She described a violent, unpredictable environment, a stark contrast to their public image. Filing for divorce while carrying his child was an act of desperation, a final bid to protect herself and her unborn son from a life she could no longer endure. The divorce wasn't an end to the nightmare. It was the beginning of a new public war. Now a single mother, Kelis found herself in a grueling financial battle. She claimed that Nas, a multi-millionaire artist, had left her and their newborn son Knight with little to no support. The legal documents painted a grim picture: mounting bills, a lack of stable income, and a desperate plea for court-ordered child and spousal support just to make ends meet. It became a messy, drawn-out conflict, with every detail splashed across the tabloids. Kelis was fighting not just for herself, but for the survival of her son, battling the man she once loved in a court of law while the world watched. As she fought for her financial freedom and spoke her truth about the alleged abuse, a subtle but powerful shift began to happen. In an industry that prefers its female stars to be silent and compliant, Kelis was branded as difficult, angry, and bitter. The narrative shifted from her being a victim to her being a problem. Doors that were once wide open began to close. Opportunities dried up. She was being quietly pushed to the margins, a classic case of an industry that often punishes women for speaking out against powerful men. The very system that had celebrated her fiery independence was now using it as a weapon against her, effectively blackballing her for daring to have a voice. But the battle with her ex-husband was just one front in a war she was fighting. Another betrayal, one that cut even deeper, was waiting in the wings. orchestrated by the very people she once called friends. Years later, Kellis dropped a bombshell. She had never made a single penny from her first 2 albums, the critically acclaimed Kaleidoscope and Wonderland. She revealed that when she signed her record deal, Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo of the Neptunes, whom she considered her brothers, had allegedly tricked her. She claimed they had her sign a contract that gave them all the rights and royalties under the guise that they would split everything 3 ways as a team. She was young, naive, and she trusted them implicitly. She described feeling blatantly lied to and tricked, realizing that the foundation of her career was built on a deception that had left her with nothing to show for her iconic work. The feeling of being erased was compounded years later in a very public way. In 2022, Beyoncé released her blockbuster album Renaissance, and fans were quick to notice an interpolation of Milkshake on the track Energy. But Kellis wasn't celebrating. She was furious. She revealed on social media that no one from Beyoncé's team had contacted her for permission. To add insult to injury, the only people credited were Pharrell and Chad Hugo. For Kellis, this was the ultimate act of disrespect. It wasn't just about a sample, it was about the erasure of her contribution, a painful reminder of the deal she'd been tricked into years ago. She called it theft and spoke out against the music industry's gangster tactics. In the end, bowing to the public pressure Kellis had generated, the sample was quietly removed from the song. Tired of the betrayals and the relentless battles, Kellis sought refuge in a world far from the glitz and hypocrisy of the music industry. A trained chef, she channeled her creativity into food and, in a surprising move, bought a remote farm in California. She traded recording studios for open fields, raising livestock and growing her own food. It was a radical act of reclaiming her life, a way to build something real and tangible for herself and her children. The farm became her sanctuary, a place where she could heal from the trauma and find peace in the soil, providing a stable, nourishing life for her family. Far from the chaos she had known, it was in this new, tranquil life that she found love again. She met photographer Mike Mora, and together they built a life on the farm, welcoming 2 more children into their blended family. It was a beautiful second act, a testament to her resilience. Kellis had finally found the happiness and stability she had fought so hard for. But fate had one more cruel twist in store. In late 2021, Mike publicly announced that he had been diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer, a devastating blow to the family. He shared his journey with brutal honesty, hoping to inspire others, while Kellis stood by his side, facing the unimaginable once again. In March 2022, the fight came to an end. Mike Mora passed away at the age of 37, leaving Kellis a widow and a single mother to 3 children. The loss was profound and heartbreaking. The sanctuary she had so carefully built was now a place of grief. After enduring years of public humiliation, professional betrayal, and now the ultimate personal tragedy, Kellis was at a crossroads. She had to find a way to navigate her grief while raising her children, proving her immense strength in the face of unspeakable sorrow. The world watched, wondering how much one person could possibly endure. Faced with an overwhelming loss and the ghosts of her past in America, Kellis made the most drastic decision of her life. She decided to leave it all behind. She sold her California farm, packed up her children, and moved across the world to a remote 300-acre farm in Kenya. It was a shocking move, an escape to a new continent, a new culture, and a new way of life. This wasn't just a change of scenery. It was an act of radical self-preservation. She was seeking a place where her family could be free, where her children could grow up surrounded by nature and peace, far from the judgment and trauma that had defined their lives in the United States. Life in Kenya has presented both blissful peace and unique challenges. In candid social media posts, Kellis has shared glimpses of her new reality. She praises the warmth and friendliness of the Kenyan people and the surprisingly affordable and high-quality healthcare system. Her days are filled with tending to her land, living amongst giraffes and other wildlife, and creating a sustainable, self-sufficient life. However, she's also open about the difficulties. The infrastructure can be a nightmare, with treacherous potholes and unmarked speed bumps that can destroy a car. While she's embraced a simpler lifestyle, she admits that trying to replicate a Western standard of living in rural Kenya is incredibly expensive. It's a trade-off she's willing to make for her family's well-being. Today, Kellis is no longer defined by her past battles. She is the master of her own universe. On her Kenyan farm, she is building a new legacy, one centered on wellness, nature, and family. She has plans to turn a portion of her vast property into a wellness retreat, sharing the healing she has found with the world. She still makes music, but now it's on her own terms, free from the demands and deceptions of a predatory industry. She is a farmer, a chef, a mother, and an entrepreneur, a woman who has taken every hit and channeled it into building a life of purpose and independence. Today, Kellis is no longer defined by her past battles. She is the master of her own universe. On her Kenyan farm, she is building a new legacy, one centered on wellness, nature, and family. She has plans to turn a portion of her vast property into a wellness retreat, sharing the healing she has found with the world. She still makes music, but now it's on her own terms, free from the demands and deceptions of a predatory industry. She is a farmer, a chef, a mother, and an entrepreneur, a woman who has taken every hit and channeled it into building a life of purpose and independence.